Colorado. It's another Sunday morning in the Mile High, and it's a Sunday morning following UFC 222. Just like that, we have 222 UFCs in 25 years. And last night, there were some big fights on the card, but quite frankly, none bigger than Brian Ortega versus Frankie Edgar. Edgar coming in as obviously a legend of the sport, and he was a slight favorite in this fight. Ortega, with all finishes in his UFC career, he came into the fight 13-0, I believe, undefeated, and really, kind of tested, but not really. He has a bunch of finishes in the third round too, which is really impressive. But last night, he came out and did what nobody has ever done to Frankie Edgar in his entire career, and that's put him away, finish him. Not only did he finish him, but he finished him in the first round. Coach, what were your thoughts?
I'm a big Ortega fan. I had him winning the fight. I just didn't have him winning the fight that way, honestly. The way I saw it was, I kind of thought maybe he would submit him, they'd get into a scramble somewhere, and he'd catch him with something. But how scary is this to see Brian Ortega out here submitting everybody, and now all of a sudden he KOs somebody who's never been knocked out before? That's to me is an amazing feat, and it's just, maybe it gives everybody else in that division just a moment of pause to see what's really standing in front of them. That's a big accomplishment for T-City, and hey man, Max Holloway's got a legit contender coming up, biting at his heels, so I'm really looking forward to that fight.
I think it was, as much as I love Frankie Edgar, I think it was essential for the featherweight division to kind of move on. And Jose Aldo is one of my favorite fighters of all time, but to kind of move on to this next generation, kind of pass the torch so we can, get the ball rolling in what once was one of the top talent-wise divisions in the UFC. We got to get it going again by having these young guys win these big fights against legends. You hate to see Frankie, he looked really, let's be honest, he looked really good. I thought he was winning the whole first half of the first round.
Yeah, I had him winning as well.
And he looked sharp. He looked like Frankie Edgar. He looked like he was going to put on the pace, and quite frankly, he looked much quicker than Ortega. He was visibly the smaller man, as Ortega put on about 20 pounds from weigh-ins to fight night. But he was quick, and he was landing shots. But then what did you see towards the middle of the round because I thought Ortega started to develop and establish his jab, and it started to bother Frankie a little bit on it when he was entering?
Well, to me, I think what I really saw out of Ortega was I saw a lot of maturity. He was patient in what he was doing. He was in no hurry. Even though Edgar was kind of doing what he wanted to do, there was no panic in Ortega. He was just kind of sticking to his game plan, kind of reading what Edgar was giving him, and he was being active, but not putting himself in really any kind of danger. As the round starts to go on, then you see that all of a sudden Ortega's kind of picking up on Edgar's timing just a little bit, and then out of nowhere, that's where the elbow comes in.
What? Talk about that elbow. That's not a normal shot that you see without the clinch. We're seeing it a little bit more here and there. I forget the young girl's name who beat Heather Hardy, and then which is terrible, she won the fight, and here I am, I can only remember Heather's name. And then she fought on Friday night for Bellator, and she kept leading with an elbow.
That's Christina Williams.
Williams, thank you.
Yeah.
We're seeing it more, but it is something new. It's kind of weird that I saw it happening twice in one weekend. But talk about that elbow.
Well, really, I feel like it was just really good timing on Ortega's part. He saw the left hook coming. He actually, Edgar actually landed the left hook. They kind of threw at the same time. Just obviously, that elbow's going to beat your left hook most of the time. So, and then so I was watching the fights with my team last night. Even as we're watching the fights, that's kind of something that we were talking about was, if you look at the top 5 in that weight class, you've got Holloway, you've got Aldo at number 1. Aldo's already been beat up twice by Holloway. You've got Cub Swanson in there, who got finished by T-City. You've got Frankie Edgar in there, who can't seem to get over that hump either. Jeremy Stevens, who's been beat by Cub Swanson. You know, like, you look at it, really the only logical step would be to go with T-City versus Max Holloway next, because everybody else in that top 5 has been just beating each other up, you know, and I don't really see anybody outside of maybe Brian Ortega who can actually beat, you know, Max Holloway. I mean, you got to give Jeremy Stevens his credit, like, he's kind of had this career resurgence and he's just flattening everybody out. But, you know, that I personally think Ortega's got a better shot at beating Holloway than Jeremy Stevens does. He has more ways to finish the fight.
All right, Evan Herzog with the Fight Magazine, Albert Rosales of Grinders Fitness, I should say. That sounds like the fight that they are going to make. Dana, once again, you know, it only when he doesn't want to answer something does he not make fights on fight night. We don't make fights
on fight night, yeah.
Because now this is like 3 fight nights in a row where he has came out and made fights on fight night. So,
even if you look at
if the guy doesn't necessarily, it's pretty transparent. Like, if they're not totally all in on promoting a guy that's just won, and some other people in the media are happy, you know, excited
even
about
announced
it.
Cyborg Nunez last night. So
exactly,
you know,
with Nunez being rumored to fight Raquel Pennington.
As far as I know, that's not a rumor, correct? Is that something that's set in stone? Or
well, they hadn't signed the contract, but it was a heavy rumor. I mean, Ariel Helwani spoke on it, and Dana was asked about it last night. And they asked, is that something that you would move on from to make the Nunez fight? And he flat out said yes. So...
well, as far as the money goes, I feel like that's a bigger money fight. But now, you know what
we'll get into that, but we got to get into that.
Yeah,
but let's talk about Holloway.
Again,
Get back to Holloway, because we are going to talk more about Cyborg and that whole whatever that they're going to do going forward, because it is exciting. But he did say Holloway and Ortega is a go. He said that he saw Holloway during the filming of The Ultimate Fighter. He came in to do some guest coaching, and that he looked good. He was healing. Holloway tweeted out at Ortega last night, the UFC, the July 7th card during the International Fight Week. He says that's the card he would like to fight on. I believe it's UFC 226. And Ortega was then asked about the tweet, and he says that's plenty of time.
Right.
So I think that's something to look forward to. Like I said, you kind of ran through kind of with no offense, kind of the dinosaurs of the featherweight division, and that are kind of clogging up the top, but they've all been beat. So I do, to kind of reiterate, I think it was super important for Ortega to win that fight last night.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to do it in the style that he did. I thought that he would have to submit him late, like we've seen him do, 3rd round, late 2nd round. I thought that he could use his boxing enough to dictate where the fight would take place himself, to kind of keep the takedown at bay, but I did not expect him to land beautiful elbow followed by a beautiful uppercut to finish.
Well, and if you look at his career too, so he's sitting at 14-0 now, which in and of itself, it's a pretty big accomplishment in MMA. Like, there's just so many ways you can lose, that to see somebody get to that 14-0, or even like Khabib's 25-0, you know, that's unheard of. But so he's sitting at 14-0 with his last 2 wins being over a perennial contender in Cub Swanson, and now you've also got a win over Frankie Edgar, who's going to go down as one of the greatest ever. And these aren't guys who, you know, while maybe they're not quite in their prime, they're still top of the food chain. So it's not like he's fighting washed up guys or anything. He's fighting guys who are still at the top of the ladder, and he's putting them away. So, you know, looking forward as far as how his career is going to move on, then, you know, we might actually be witnessing one of the all-time greats, you know, the way he's fighting right now. You know, who knows? I think his potential is unlimited. You know, he's got a good camp behind him. Obviously, he's got his submission skills. He's got striking. He's got power. He's got everything you look for in a fighter, and he is big for that weight class too. So, hey, man, you never know what we're gonna see from this kid.
Way too early pick. Who you leaning towards?
I'm on that train, man. Give me Ortega. I'm on the train. Count me in.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for segment 1. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Catch us at ibtv.us or Roku TV. Takedown MMA. Evan Herzog of the Fight Magazine. Albert Rosales of Grinders Fitness. Thanks for joining us.